help you launch your business the right way from the very beginning. Now, before I turn the class over to Eban, I have a couple of quick things to share with you. First, make sure that you stay until the very end of the class, because at the end of today's class, Eban will be giving you 2 amazing resources completely free. First, you'll get a free copy of Eban's extremely popular book, How to Create a Digital Information Product That Sells Itself. And second, Eban will be giving you his proven one-page digital product blueprint. This is the exact step-by-step blueprint that Eban has used to create and launch all of his best-selling products. You'll get the book and the blueprint completely free when you stay until the end of the class today. And if today happens to be your first training with Eban, you are in for an amazing experience. For over a decade now, Eban has been known around the world as the go-to person for digital product success. Eban has personally created over 50 digital products. He has sold well over $100 million in digital products online to more than 1 million paying customers. And he's done it all from the comfort and convenience of his laptop computer. World-famous success trainer Tony Robbins was so impressed by Eban's digital product business that he featured Eban in his new Money Masters program. Tony also invited Eban to speak at one of his elite business mastery events with some of the top business people in the world. Eban has served as a guest teacher at the USC Marshall School of Business, one of the top entrepreneur schools in America, and Eban has been invited to interview billionaire Richard Branson on multiple occasions about entrepreneurship and philanthropy. Eban is a very successful investor in Silicon Valley and several fast-growing technology companies. He also has a big passion for giving back. Eban is involved in several large-scale charity projects that help people all over the world. Now, before we bring on Eban, remember to tune out all distractions. Do yourself a favor and turn off your cell phone, your instant messenger, log out of email, Facebook, and eliminate any other distractions so you can really learn the incredible digital product formula that Eban is about to teach you. And with that, I'll introduce your coach and trainer for today's class, Eban Pagan. Welcome to the class, Eban.
Thanks for the introduction, Rick, and thank you for the kind words. Everyone, I am excited to be here teaching you today, and I want to welcome you to our class. And this is the class where I show you my secret weapons for digital product success and my step-by-step formula for creating digital products that sell themselves. Now, in Silicon Valley, where I like to visit often, and which is the home of epic companies like Apple and Google and Facebook, and many more of the most successful tech companies on the planet, they have an important saying that can actually mean life or death for a growing business. They say the product is the marketing. They build and invest in products that have been designed to sell themselves. Now, if your product can sell itself, then it does a lot of its own marketing. And in Silicon Valley, this means that you can get millions of dollars from eager investors. But if your product doesn't sell itself, then you usually get nothing. And the same is true when we create and market digital products online. I never create a digital product without using my proven system to create a product that is literally designed from the beginning to sell itself. Now, if you're just starting out and you've never sold a digital product online, this proven formula can be the foundation for your entire business. If you already have a business that sells digital products or that does teaching or training or consulting or coaching, then even better, because my formula can help you turn your next digital product into a bestseller so you can scale up and grow your business fast. Now, before we get started today, I want to remind you about the special bonus gifts that I promised when you signed up for this class. First, I promised to give you a copy of my PDF ebook, How to Create a Digital Product That Sells Itself. Now, this is only available to download here on this class, so be sure to stay until the end of our class to download your free copy. Now, second, I promised to let you download my proven one-page digital product blueprint. It's taken me over 15 years and literally millions of dollars of trial and error to perfect this blueprint. It's the best template in the world for creating a digital product and turning that product into a thriving online business. So make sure you stay until the end of our class today to download it as a free gift from me. I've also decided to gift you 2 additional bonus tools. They are special checklists I've created that will help you pick a best-selling niche and design a best-selling product. If you're committed to creating a best-selling product, these checklists are going to be priceless, And again, just stay till the end of our class today and you get both of them for free, and I'll also tell you about how to use them. Now, an important warning here. I'm going to share some of the results that I've gotten in my digital product businesses in this class. I'm doing this to show you that I've been very successful many times now doing what I'm teaching you here. Please don't interpret what I'm showing you as a promise or even an implication that you're going to get the same results that I've gotten, or that you're going to get any results at all for that matter. Because, most people don't take action and they don't use what they learn, right? Most of the people who click on a link somewhere and, maybe listen to a class, they actually don't do anything. Now, I also want to say that this is not a pyramid scheme or a business opportunity. This class and all of my trainings are for people who are serious about building their businesses, working hard, and being successful. And honestly, I hope you intend to not be one of the people who sits around and does nothing and who gets no results at all. Okay? I want you to use this. Now let's take a minute and talk about how this class is organized so you get the maximum value. Today's class has 4 important parts, and they are the digital product revolution, the cure for financial anxiety, how to create a digital product that sells itself, and how to turn your digital product into a thriving online business. You need all 4 parts to win the game, so make sure you stick with me for the entire class to learn all 4 of them. Now, as we go through each important section, you'll see how everything works together in perfect synergy to create your own best-selling digital product. Also, to make our class fun and interesting today, I'll be showing you select video clips and marketing studies during important sections. Now, these will give you examples of how I create my videos, my marketing, and my winning digital products, and they also mix things up a little bit. Again, they keep things interesting. All right, so let's get started with part 1 of our class, the digital product revolution. Now, in the course of human history, there have been, what we're going to consider 3 worldwide revolutions that changed the lives of basically every person on the planet. Okay, first was the agricultural revolution, then the industrial revolution, and now the digital revolution. Every child studies the first 2 in school because they're such an important part of our history. And I'm sure that you know that we're living in the digital revolution right now. Okay, it began near the end of the 20th century, and its enormous power has been growing exponentially, by the year. The invention of computers and the internet has touched and shaped the lives of every person on the planet. And here's the most exciting part of the digital revolution to me. When computers were first invented, they were so expensive that only, universities or, NASA or big companies could afford them. But now, your average smartphone is more powerful than a supercomputer, used to be, that cost millions of dollars. Here's a great article about this. Your smartphone is millions of times more powerful than all of NASA's combined computing in 1969. And remember, 1969, that's the year that NASA put a person on the moon. So next time you pick up your phone, really think about that. You're holding more power in the palm of your hand than NASA used to put someone on the moon. The digital revolution is putting this enormous power in the hands of regular people like us all around the globe. More than 2.5 billion people have smartphones today, and over 6 billion people are projected to own smartphones by around 2020. The iPhone, the iPad have become a worldwide phenomenon. Apple has already sold over 1 billion devices, and this number grows every day. Over 2 billion people own personal computers, and over 3 billion people around the world have internet access. When you look around, you can see the digital revolution everywhere you look. Everyone has a digital device in their hand. The amount of time that people are spending on their devices is growing every day. This has created a massive demand for digital teaching products, which we're talking about here in this class. Products like ebooks, online video courses, audio programs, membership websites, and a lot more. People from all over the world are using their digital devices to learn new things about every topic imaginable. And this has created a secondary revolution that I call the digital product revolution. And here's the most exciting part, regular people like you and me are creating and selling the best digital products. For the first time in history, the way I think of it, this is the first time a regular person can create a digital product like an ebook, and they can do it inexpensively. We can even create an online video course or an audio course very inexpensively and then offer it for sale to literally billions of people around the world. So let me show you our first video. I'd like to show you why digital products are such a big deal right now and how you can take advantage of one of the biggest trends that we will ever see in our lifetimes. Now, if you've been watching the teaching and training business literally explode online, you'll notice that the big winners, okay, the famous ones, they have something in common. They're all offering their teaching courses and books in the form of digital products. So what's a digital product? It's basically any teaching product that you can read, listen to, or watch. Video courses, audio courses, ebooks, webinars, membership sites, these are all examples of digital products. You might not have heard them described as digital products before, but that's exactly what they are. So I have a question for you. Have you ever wanted to write a book or teach a course? Have you always wanted to take what you're really interested in, what you're passionate about, take your own life story and turn it into a book or a teaching program and have an online business? Have you ever wondered what it would be like to have an online business and work where and when you wanted? And have you ever wondered how others are doing it with their digital products and their online businesses?
I like digital products because there's no variable cost and there's no time to you. So whether you sell 10 or 10,000, you're still, sitting on the beach drinking your pina coladas and hanging out, and you just check to see how much money you made.
I still feel like it's not real. Clearly I'm going to wake up from the vacation or something, and it sounds cliche, but it's true because I love what I'm doing, and I don't spend 12 hours a day doing it anymore.
I can say personally, lifestyle-wise, I feel so blessed. I feel like, anything is possible for myself and my family. We have everything we could ever want and so much more. So a lot of our life now is really about giving.
I had heard before, and I've seen other people getting paid doing these online businesses, but I always felt that it was really hard for me to do something like that. But when it actually happened, it was super cool. It was the best feeling of my life when I woke up and I'd made money when I was sleeping. The first 4 sales of my digital product literally happened while I slept.
So there are incredible stories from people who have real businesses online right now. And this training video, again, is called How to Find Your Big Idea, where I'm going to show you how you can do the same and how to take what you know, whether that be something you're interested in, or a hobby, or a passion, or maybe information or skills that you don't even realize are valuable, and then turn it into a digital product that you can sell online, often for very high prices. If you look around today, you'll notice 3 things, okay? The first thing is that everyone is reading, they're watching videos, and they're listening to information that they search for and find and often buy online. The second thing is the amount of time that they invest doing this is growing. And the third thing is the amount of money that they invest doing it is also growing. The success of smartphones and iPads and tablets and online education is meteoric. Digital products in the form of ebooks and audio courses and video courses and webinars, they're starting to really go mainstream. And who's making the most successful ebooks and online courses and digital products? Regular people, like you and like me, who have taught ourselves how to do it. All right, so the big insight here is that regular people are doing this all over the world, and you can do it too as long as you follow the formula, okay, a proven formula. But you must avoid this one mistake, or you might never get off the starting line. The big mistake is actually a self-esteem issue that I see in many people who are creating their digital products. And the mistake is thinking that you don't know enough, or that you don't have the right credentials to create and sell a digital product online. Now, when I started my business over 15 years ago, I was unemployed. I was $30,000 in debt. I don't have a college degree. I didn't have, any special credentials. It would have been very easy for me to give up and believe that I, didn't have what it took, or I wasn't good enough to create my own digital product and market it. But I was lucky because I had a friend who was already doing this and who showed me how he did it. And my friend was doing very well selling a little ebook online. And he actually called me up. He was making fun of me because I was doing work that I didn't really enjoy at the time, and he was having so much fun building his business from his computer. Okay, so I've got another quick video I want to show you about how I got started in this business. Now, I'm going to show it to you, but you have to promise not to laugh at my 80s mullet haircut that you're going to see here. Okay, so watch this. I grew up in a little backwoods town outside of Eugene, Oregon. I dropped out of high school at 16 and then dropped out of the little community college I was attending to go on tour with a rock band for $75 a week. Now, my first job was manual labor, making, I think, $3.50 an hour, and 7 years later, I was up to $10 an hour in my 20s. I didn't know anyone who was wealthy and successful in business, and I didn't even know anyone who knew anyone who was wealthy and successful. I woke up 9 years later after trying to be a real estate agent, trying to be a guitar teacher, trying to be a marketing consultant, and a bunch of other business ideas. And when I woke up, I was 31 years old, I was $30,000 in debt, and I was unemployed. And I had to start all over. But this time with $30,000 in credit card debt, which, felt like I was carrying this huge burden on my shoulders. I was just about to try my next business idea when a friend of mine showed me how he was selling a PDF ebook online and making great money doing it. He was actually making fun of me for doing my normal business ideas, and he encouraged me to try what he was doing. So I locked myself in my bedroom, and in just a few weeks, I wrote a book about something simple. It was about dating, of all things. I wrote my book using a pen name because, I have a strange name that's not easy to remember, and, this is the internet. I had no idea what would happen. It actually took me a few months to figure out how to make a website and set up a shopping cart and, get website hosting. I'd never done any of this stuff before. But I finally got my new self-published ebook on my website and offered it for sale. Now, at first, I would just sell 1 or 2 books here and there. I would go to sleep at night and then, I'd roll out of bed in the morning into the little chair in my bedroom to my computer, and I'd check my sales stats. And the big thrill was that sometimes I would have someone in a different part of the world buy my book and download it, and I would literally make money while I was asleep. Those 1 or 2 books here and there were like a light in the dark. Okay, they gave me hope. Then, a few months into building my online business, something happened that changed the course of my life. In marketing, one of the things you learn is that it's important to test the price of what you sell. Sometimes you'll sell more if you have a lower price, but sometimes you'll sell more if you have a higher price. You don't know until you test. So one day, I raised the price of my ebook by $10. I was selling it for $29.95 originally, so that morning I raised the price to $39.95. And it just so happened that a couple of friends were visiting. Now, I was living up in Los Angeles at the time, and they were visiting San Diego, which was a couple of hour drive away. So I put up my little price test, I got in my car, and I drove the couple of hours to hang out with my friends for the day. Now, later in the day, after spending the afternoon with them, I asked one of them if I could use his computer to check my sales stats online. And I was completely shocked. I had sold 10 copies of my book that day, a new record for me. Okay, so I raised my price by $10 and had my best sales day ever, $400 in sales. Now, I did the quick math in my head, and I realized if I can sell $400 a day worth of these ebooks, that's $12,000 a month. And if I make $12,000 a month in sales, I'm free. And I couldn't believe it. For 15 years, I had worked hard in jobs and businesses as I mentioned, a self-employed consultant. And all of a sudden, I wrote a book about dating with no formal education, no degree, no marketing MBA, nothing. But I put my little book online and made $400 in sales in one day while I was hanging out with my friends. Now, after doing this for 8 or 9 months, I finally decided to offer a live seminar. Okay, 23 people paid to come to my first live seminar. And I was so nervous that I could barely sleep the night before. Okay, now the seminar didn't make me any profit, but I also did something else at the seminar. I borrowed a video camera and I recorded it. Okay, we video recorded it and audio recorded it. And a few months later, I released an audio version of the seminar as my second product. And guess what happened? My business doubled overnight. So here's a tip. If you have one product in your business, okay, make another one that's much more expensive and offer it to everyone who buys your first product. This alone can often double a business when it's done right. Okay, so remember, at first, I sold one of my PDF ebooks here and there for $29.95. Then I had my big $400 day a few months in. Then I added an opt-in page and started growing my audience and my list. Okay, now $29.95, it's not a lot of money, but I kept at it. And by the end of my first year, I'd made $150,000 in total sales. Not too bad. My second year, I did $500,000 in sales. Then 1.5 million my third year. Then 5 million my fourth year. Then 12 million my fifth year. And after releasing a series of video and audio courses, I started partnering with other teachers and offering their products for sale in my business. And things continued to skyrocket. And then I got the call. Tony Robbins wants to interview you. So I went to San Diego and I made friends with Tony Robbins, and he interviewed me for his New Money Masters program. Then he invited me out to speak at his Ultimate Business Mastery program with all these incredible gurus of business, okay, which was just an amazing experience. I got another call from someone who wanted me to come and interview Sir Richard Branson on stage at a very special event in Canada. I did a talk of my own at that event, and we raised a couple of $100,000 for his charity, Virgin Unite, and then surprised him when we did our interview on stage. After the interview, Sir Richard asked me to come back and interview him again at his charity event in Los Angeles. I was then invited to be a guest lecturer at the USC Marshall School of Business, one of the top entrepreneur schools in America. And by the way, what do you think I told them was the best idea that I had for starting a business? Of course, to create a digital product with the knowledge that they had and sell it online. So that's my story. Now, hopefully you noticed that I was not an overnight success, all right? Success came in a series of small breakthroughs, one step at a time. But I hope the story inspired you, and I hope that you see how this has completely changed the game for me. It's completely changed my life. First, I got my first digital product done, okay? I pushed myself to do it. A little book that I wrote in a few weeks. My next breakthrough was the first time I sold 10 books in one day, okay? And that's when I realized that this could be something I could do full time, okay? And after that, I kept learning, I kept trying new things. By the end of my first year, I had made almost $150,000 in sales. I did about $500,000 in sales my second year, around 1.5 million my third year, and my business just kept growing from there. So, I've been very successful, but it didn't happen overnight. Okay, I'm a regular person with humble beginnings. Okay, I grew up out in the woods. And sure, I am talking about some big numbers, and the money in this business can oftentimes be very good, but there's something else about this business that's far more important than money, okay? Here's another quick video that is going to show you my favorite part about this business, okay? I can only show this to you by having you look at a video. And when you see this, I think you'll agree that what has happened here is more valuable even than the money that I'm making. The best part was that this was an online business. So I was running it from my own computer, okay? Literally in my bedroom myself. I liked that freedom so much that I continued it as I started to hire people and build a team to run my business. And I built my entire company virtually. No office, everyone worked from home. And they still do. We've never had an office to this day. My online business freed me from long commutes and a boring office and a schedule I didn't enjoy, and it freed my team as well. And why that's really important to me is because of the freedom and flexibility that it has given me in my life. Now, one of the things my wife and I enjoy is traveling, and my digital product business gives me a ton of freedom to travel whenever I like. So, for example, my wife and I decided to go traveling this summer in Europe with our little daughter. When we left, we didn't know exactly how long that we wanted to travel. So we actually decided to pack up all our stuff and put it in storage. Again, we didn't know how long we decided to keep living in different places. Now, before I had this business, that would have sounded flat out crazy to me, insane. And in the past few months, as I make this video for you here, we've stayed in London and Paris and Rome. We've visited Germany, we visited Holland. We even spent some time in the French countryside with friends at a little chateau. Then we went to New York for a while. We went out to a couple of art and music festivals. We went to San Francisco to see some friends and to check out the tech scene for a few weeks. So what happened to my digital product business while I was traveling? Well, nothing happened. People around the world kept investing in my digital products. They kept learning how to improve their lives and build their businesses, and my business keeps thriving. So do I need to work? Sure, of course. And fortunately, I love what I do and what it does for other people. While I was in London, for example, my team asked me to make a couple of videos. So I opened up my computer and I made some videos. When I was in Rome, I got on a call with my team to talk about an important project we were working on. Again, I just opened up my computer, I got online, I put on my headset, and I did it. I did all my team meetings while I was traveling, I created trainings, and I even made some videos like I showed you. The point here is that I can be anywhere, and my business still works like a clock because it's not based on me being in a particular place. It's not locked into a particular location. My belief is that everyone could and should have a digital product.
It's something that is constantly evolving and constantly changing, whether it's going from desktop sites to now we're on mobile and learning all the different aspects. Like, it's always something to get even deeper into learning about and to understanding, and like either a new platform or a new audience. So it's like it's always juicy and I'm always learning, which is part of the fun. And then it's always changing, which is part of the fun. So it's like getting to kind of just learn and be paid to learn a lot of the times, which is awesome.
Firstly, when I started my business, it was difficult for me just to imagine that I could travel around the world, that I could make money, like basically when I'm sleeping, you know.
When I first discovered that, when it first happened, that I was getting money for a digital product that I created, I felt drunk. I mean, I felt like liberated. I felt like giddy, like a kid, because I can get rewarded financially for teaching people something that I'm passionately in love with. And when I teach it to them, I'm empowering them. That's what I call a win-win-win-win situation.
Replacing my local business income with a full-time online income was like so exciting. I couldn't even believe it for the first few months, actually.
If you're a coach, you should have a digital product. If you have a great story to tell, you should have a digital product. If you're really interested and passionate about something, you should have a digital product. If you have a physical product business, you should have a digital product. Okay, so the freedom and lifestyle that you just saw in that little video is possible because digital products give you massive leverage. Okay, so here's a quote. Give me a place to stand and a lever long enough and I will move the world. All right, so Archimedes, he said these words over 2,000 years ago, and you know, they still ring true, right? You get the idea. And when you create a digital product, you leverage the power of the computer and the internet to multiply your abilities. Okay, once you create it, you can essentially have an unlimited number of people learning from you anytime, anywhere, and it's automatic because it's digital. And you know, it's a little weird for me to think about this, but for years now, okay, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, there are people around the world who are listening to, watching, and going through my digital products. All right, that's huge. That's big leverage. And I don't have to be there doing it anymore. I don't have to do the teaching myself. My digital products do the teaching and the work for me, so I can have more of my time freed up to live my life. Now, many of my students from all over the world are following in my footsteps, using digital products to build their businesses, build the life of their dreams, okay? And I want to invite you to do this too. Now that you understand the digital revolution and how you can use it to create your ideal lifestyle, it's time for part 2 of our class, okay? And this is the cure for financial anxiety. To be successful in today's world, you must have a cure for your financial anxiety. And I believe that I and many of my students now have found it. Right now, we're living in one of the most exciting times in history, but we're also living in a time of great anxiety, great financial anxiety. Just turn on the news for 5 minutes and you will be convinced that the world is going to come to an end. Okay? And if you don't have a cure for this anxiety that surrounds you, it can really get inside. It can penetrate deep into your mind, your emotions, really making success impossible. So, what's going on in the world today? Why is this financial anxiety such a big part of all of our lives now? Well, as we discussed, the digital revolution is creating massive changes around the world, and the biggest thing that it's changing is our job market. Okay, now here's a striking example from a great article in The Atlantic. The title is A World Without Work. It compares AT&T in 1964 to Google today. Okay, so in 1964, AT&T was the most valuable company in the United States, worth about $267 billion in today's money. Now, today's Google is worth over $500 billion. All right, so in 1964, AT&T had 750,000 workers. Today, Google has 57,000 workers. So Google is worth twice as much money as AT&T was back then, but they have less than 10% of the workers. Google was able to eliminate 90% of the jobs with computers and technology, and this trend is only increasing every day. Okay, so here's a recent study conducted by Oxford University, estimating that 47% of all jobs in the United States are at risk of being eliminated by computers over the next 20 years. In this study, this is one of the conservative ones. Here's one conducted by scientists at a leading university showing that computers and robots could replace 80% of our current jobs in just 2 decades. Okay, so having a job, being an employee, it used to provide financial security for people. You go to work for a big company, you stay there, everything works out. Now people laugh when they, hear the words job security because it doesn't exist, it doesn't exist, especially in big corporate environments. I interviewed best-selling author Harvey Mackay a few years back. He's the author of that famous book you've probably heard of, Swim with the Sharks Without Being Eaten Alive. He mentioned a statistic from the U.S. Department of Labor that, just keeps bouncing around in my head. He said that today's average college graduate will have at least 3 to 5 career changes in their lifetimes and 10 to 14 job changes by age 38. Okay, 3 to 5 careers, 10 to 14 jobs by age 38. Now this amount of change and insecurity, it's the new reality, okay? And it's underlying a lot of the financial anxiety that is spreading around the globe. Here's an article that shows 1.8 million able-bodied young Americans gave up looking for work last month. All right. In the article, a spokesperson for young workers said, "We're the most educated generation, but we've racked up over $1 trillion of student loan debt, and only a third of those earning 4-year degrees land jobs in this economy that require a degree. Too many are finding only low-skilled jobs and struggling to get by." The financial anxiety I'm talking about, it's all around us because our economy just isn't working for most regular people. And here's a report from CNN Money, right? It says 76% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. All right, let's just let that sink in. 76%, okay, hardworking people living every day with this financial anxiety, knowing they're one paycheck away from financial ruin. But here's an important distinction, okay? Our economy is broken for the middle class, but the rich are living in a different reality, okay? You've probably seen some of the reports showing how rich people are doing better than ever in today's economy. Here's a report from the BBC saying the richest 1% of people in the world now have more wealth than the other 99% combined. You've probably heard that. Today's economy and the digital revolution, they are making the top 1% richer every day. But here's something you might not know. Okay, today, you don't have to be Bill Gates or Warren Buffett to be in the top 1%. A lot of people you wouldn't suspect that, are regular business owners, essentially, that have figured something out, have gotten there. Okay, here's a calculator from CNN Money. If your household income is $430,000 per year, you're in the top 1% of income earners. Now, I've gotten to know a lot of people who earn at this level and higher, some a lot higher. And you know what? They have something in common. The vast majority of them own their own businesses. That's how they did it. If you look at Thomas Stanley's book, The Millionaire Next Door, where he went out and he researched who are millionaires, who are these rich people, most of them were regular people that started businesses and built them from scratch. Owning your own business is by far the best, most probable way to join the top 1%. And it's also the best way to protect yourself from the worldwide job crisis that is looming. Now, here's a glimpse into the future and what we can expect in the coming years. All right, so the digital revolution, it's going to continue to create massive changes. Job insecurity is only going to rise for most people. An estimated 50 to 80% of jobs will be lost to computers and globalization over the next couple of decades. Okay, and the jobs, they're going to be eliminated faster and faster each year. Things are going to get much worse for the middle class in the coming years, I believe, but things are also going to get much better for people who have figured out the business models of the future. Successful business owners and high-income people will likely continue getting richer and richer because they're captains of their own ship. They control their own destinies because they run their own businesses. So as you can see, I'm a big believer that the solution is to own your own business. Okay, you can't be fired or laid off because you own it. Now, of course, I'm not telling you to go quit your job tomorrow. Okay, that wouldn't be smart. I'm telling you to build your own business. Okay, build it while you have a job. If you have one, if you already have a business, right, then put more energy into taking it to the next level. And by the way, when your business is stable and producing the income that you want, that's, when you think about moving on. If you have a job, that's when you can think about quitting. You want to, build your second bridge before you blow up the first one. All right, so what's the ideal business in today's digital economy? Well, of course, it's a digital product business. And here's why. Okay, so Peter Drucker, who's probably the most famous business guru of all time, okay, he made this prediction years ago. He said that universities won't survive. The future is outside the traditional campus, outside the traditional classroom. Distance learning is coming on fast. And so far, his prediction is starting to come true. What Peter Drucker calls distance learning is one of the fastest growing industries in history. Okay, but we don't call it distance learning, right? It's called e-learning. People are learning through online digital products. Peter Drucker believed this industry would be so big that it would create, essentially a limitless field of opportunity for those that filled the needs of people who need to learn the new skills, okay, the new skills that are coming out. And he was right, okay? Look at this article from Forbes showing that online education was a $107 billion industry last year. Okay, that's billion with a B. And again, this is just getting started. When you combine over 3 billion internet users, 2 billion personal computers, a billion iPads and iPhones, 6.2 billion smartphones projected by 2020, you can see that the entire world is living more and more of their lives online, and digital products are becoming a huge part of the online lifestyle. Now, many industry insiders, myself included, believe that the digital product industry will multiply by at least 10 times, okay, 10x from where it's at right now. And I think that's conservative, okay? I'm estimating that digital products, online learning, and the information business in general I think they're on track to become the world's next trillion-dollar industry. And this is going to be the trillion-dollar industry largely created by regular people, okay? People like you and me. In the coming years, other industries like, things like genetics and robotics and artificial intelligence, these are probably also going to reach the trillion-dollar level. But these are things that are dominated by scientists and engineers and computer programmers, okay? And they're financed by Silicon Valley investment bankers and Wall Street. Okay, I think digital products are going to be the trillion-dollar industry where regular people have much of the advantage. I have watched how it has been the greatest opportunity in my life to succeed in business, and in the coming years, I predict that millions of regular people from all over the world will create digital products and become part of the digital product revolution. But here's the catch, okay? The vast majority of people, the vast majority, are going to completely miss this. Like all of the big opportunities in history, most people will sit on the sidelines and watch as this passes right by. Now, of course, I'm urging you, don't let this happen to you. If you have something to teach, if you have a book inside of you, then be part of this moment in history, okay, while you still can. And right now, it's time to show you how to do it. Okay, so it's time for part 3 of our class, how to create a digital product that sells itself. Now, in this part of our class, I'm going to give you my step-by-step formula for creating a digital product that sells itself. This is my secret weapon, okay, and it's really the foundation of my business. Over the years, I've spent a lot of time in Silicon Valley, as I mentioned. I've studied all the big players like Apple and Google and Facebook. I've also studied the small rising stars who will become the tech giants of tomorrow. I've invested in several growing startups. I advise them. Whenever I spend time in Silicon Valley, I always notice the way they talk about new products. Okay? And again, they have this important saying. They say that the product is the marketing. The venture capitalists, they like to invest in products that have been designed to sell themselves. And if your product can't sell itself, okay? They don't want to invest. If it does, right, they'll invest millions. And the same is true when we create our digital product and we put it online. Okay, I never create a digital product unless I have used the systems that you're about to learn to design it from the beginning so that people want to buy it, so that it sells itself. And this is how I've sold over $100 million worth of digital products online, working right here from my laptop. Now, before I give you this formula, I want to give you the key that unlocks the formula. I believe that every person alive has something valuable to share with the world. Okay? After teaching people all over the world how to create digital products, I believe that each of us has a big idea. Okay? You have a big idea for a book or a teaching course that would be incredibly valuable to other people. Each of us has knowledge and expertise and a unique life story that can be easily turned into a digital teaching product. And the key that makes it all possible, okay, is to realize that there are 3 billion people online around the world and that people are searching for what you know right now. Okay, they're looking for it right now as we're doing this class. My life changed when I realized that there were people searching for what I knew, and they were looking for me right now, right, in this very moment. These are people who are at a point they don't have time to waste figuring it out for themselves, and they will gladly pay $20 or $100 or $1,000 or even $5,000 or $10,000 or more to learn what I knew. Okay, if I could put it into a format, teach it in a way that made it easy for them to learn. Now, understanding this truth, okay, it was a turning point. Okay, it was a turning point in my life, and it has allowed me to create the business and now the life that, it's beyond what I would have dreamed about when I was younger. All right, so take a look at this. I want to show you the incredible number of people who are online right now searching for what you know. Now, I want to share something here, something that I was surprised by. Several years ago, when I first started teaching people how to use this model to start and build their digital products and online businesses, I believed that you could only succeed and make real money if you were in one of the big niches, things like weight loss and dating and relationships or money and business, those kinds of big categories. I taught my students that if they didn't have one of those types of businesses, that they probably wouldn't succeed. Guess what has happened over the past few years? So many more people on the internet, billions of them. It turns out that there are people who are looking for information on every topic now. For me, my life changed when I realized that there were people around the world who were looking right now in this moment for what I knew, and that they were at a point where they didn't have the time to waste figuring it out for themselves, and they'd gladly pay me $20, $100, $1,000, even $10,000 or more to learn what I knew in a way that made it easy for them, and that I could do this in a digital product. So, what niches have I now seen this work in? Well, in our first video, I already mentioned things like wedding planning and poker and dating that I got started in. But I've now seen people with businesses teaching how to do art, how to teach your parrot to talk, how to play guitar, and my personal favorite topic of all time, one of my friend Jeff Walker's clients that he told me about, who teaches horse ballet, okay? Really, horse ballet. And it's a big time success, all right? More money than you'd want to hear about. Horse ballet. When I created my first digital product, I was actually in a hard place in my life. I was 31 years old, I was $30,000 in credit card debt, and I was unemployed. And I was afraid. Part of me thought, I can't create something that's actually going to work, that people are going to buy online and take me seriously. I had no reputation of any kind, no degree, no one knew who I was, I had no list, I'd never built a website, I'd never written a book, I'd never set up a shopping cart, I'd never had an email list, I'd never done any of this stuff. But I had to do something in my life, and I had to do it fast because, bills don't like to wait, and my credit cards liked to wait even less. So I took a chance, and I invested a few weeks to write my first book. It was only about 100 pages long, and what I did is I shared what I had learned about dating. Okay? Of all the things that I could have written about, I wrote a book of dating. Now, I mentioned that, I didn't think there was any way I was going to make this work and that people are actually going to buy it, but there was something that I didn't know at that time. I didn't realize just how many people were coming online every day looking for new knowledge, looking for new solutions. And we still don't realize today just how many people there are online. Our minds are good at imagining numbers up to maybe, 5 or 10, or maybe, 50 or 100. But beyond that, we just don't understand how to think about huge numbers. Okay, so it's a real mind trip when you think about it. There are people all around the world right now who are sitting at their computers and typing in search words to find and learn what you know. So let's look at some examples here. Now I'm just on Google using their keyword tool and just getting an idea of how many people are searching on each of these topics. Here, let's look at people who are searching to learn how to play guitar. All right, look at this, 800,000 to 1 million people a month. How about something like get a girlfriend? All right, around 600,000 people per month. Dog training, 500 to 700,000 or so people per month. How about this? Let's look up vertical gardening. Okay, this is a big trend. 1 to 300,000 people per month looking for information on vertical gardening. And this is just English-speaking people in the United States. Okay, that's what I've got this set on, just English in the United States. So this means that someone is searching Google, for example, for dog training every few seconds. All right, every few seconds. Every time I say a few words here, someone searches for dog training information. And we're just looking at Google here. Okay, this is just one online channel or source. And this is one search. How many other places are people looking for information on dog training online? How many other places are they looking for guitar playing tips, or how to get a girlfriend, or information on vertical gardening? Imagine them in their lives running into a challenge or opportunity, needing to figure out what to do for a solution, and sitting at their computer and searching, typing in the words to search, and then seeing the results that come up, and then picking an option to go learn what they need to know. And you know something else too, that most of what they're going to find online is low quality, right? It's not as good as it could be, and the good stuff is hard to find. But you know it. You know something important, something deep, something really valuable. And this is why the time is now for you to create your digital product and offer it to these people, again, who are searching for you right now. If you create the product that they need, they're looking for, then you can change their lives, and your product and your business can change yours. Now that you understand just how big this is and how many people are already looking for you, let's go over my proven 3-step formula for creating a digital product that sells. Okay, step 1. Identify a best-selling topic and niche. One of the biggest questions I get is how to find a best-selling topic and niche for your digital product. Over the years, I've developed a special way of doing it that has created, some excellent results for me and now for many students. Now I'm going to show you another quick little video so you can see how I and my students identify winning topics, target winning niches for our digital products. One of the questions I get most is about choosing a niche and a topic for your digital product. It's obviously very important to figure out who your audience is and what you should teach them. And when I teach digital product creators how to get their niche right, I like to make a distinction. And you're going to want to write this down. Don't choose your niche, target your niche. And the reason that we say target your niche is because I want you to imagine a target. It has concentric circles, and they get smaller the more you go in the middle. So we ask a few questions to target our niche. First, is our prospective customer motivated? Are they motivated to go and buy something? Number 2, are they out looking for solutions? In other words, are they motivated to the point where they get up off their butt and they go out and they start searching? And then 3, are they having a hard time finding the right answer? Okay, so if you arrange these 3 questions inside of each other, someone who's motivated, someone who's looking, they're having a hard time finding, you see that it's narrowing and targeting the group of people who are most likely to buy your digital product. Now, in case it's not obvious, the reason we want to target these people is that if you create a digital product, especially marketing tactics because they're already sold. And another thing that happens when you do this as well, you actually do what I call narrowing your niche. You go after fewer people. All right, so this one might leave you with a question mark in your head. Why would you go after fewer people? Because online, there are so many people online, that you actually do better by talking to a more specific audience. For example, my first book, my first book on dating advice, it could have been on self-help, more general. It could have been on relationships, or even on just dating. But I went even narrower, and I just taught dating advice to men. And like a motivated guy who's looking for a date, he comes and finds me, I have great answers for him. Now, another thing I want to mention here is that sometimes it's actually hard to identify the knowledge you have that you can put into a digital product. And the reason is because it sounds too easy. We often don't believe that we could get paid to teach or just talk about something that's actually enjoyable or fun. So I'll ask you another question. What is it that you're great at that you actually wouldn't have guessed that people would pay you to teach them because it's so natural and so automatic to you? I mentioned a friend who did incredibly well teaching people to play poker, for example. And what's the story of how you learned it? And very importantly, what's the big insight that allowed you to go from failure to success? This is what I'm always looking for, in your story. What's the moment that you had the big aha? I want to know the moment that I had that big aha that can become the core, the foundation of my digital product. The combination of identifying what you're naturally great at and then targeting your niche well, plus remembering your story and the big insight that allowed you to go from failure to success, this is how you find your big idea. This is your big idea. Okay, so that's how you find a winning topic, or the perfect niche, and your big idea for your digital product. And here's the process one more time. When you combine what you're naturally great at with targeting your niche well, and then you add your unique story and the big insight that allowed you to go from failure to success, you find your big idea for your digital product. And this is the process that I've used to create my best-selling digital products. And obviously, you can see here, you can use it too. Now, if you want to download this diagram and get some additional tips for finding your big idea, again, make sure you stay till the end of the class. At the end, I'll let you download my big idea checklist and my diagram, and the download will walk you through all the steps to help you find your big idea. And when you do this, make sure that you avoid the number one mistake that people make when they're trying to find a winning niche and come up with their winning idea. And this number one niche mistake is being too general. It's a huge mistake to try to make a product that appeals to everyone. Now, this is a little counterintuitive because most people think that being general and picking a broad niche will allow them to sell their product to more people. Being broader, it appeals to everyone, and it makes sense, but actually in practical reality, it's dead wrong. So here's an important